It is fall. I love the fall, the weather, the colors, and it's an opportunity to bake anything with apples. I love apples. They are in season. I wanted to share my family's favorite fall apple dessert. It's called sour cream apple squares. Easy, delicious. We're going to start with the Granny Smith apples because I think when you're baking and you're adding a lot of sugar to something, if you have a really good tart apple, that's a plus. Let me show you how I peel apples for any use. So take your apple, take your peeler. What I typically do, even if the recipe says to cut them, quarter them, and then peel, always peel first, okay? I peeled a ring around the top, and now I'm going to peel a ring around the bottom. And now I'm just going to start, from one end to the other, and I'm just going and cutting some just strips. Isn't that slick? So always take the apple when it's whole and peel it first. All right, there we go. Easy enough. I'll throw those in the disposal. Now for this recipe, these apples do need to be chopped. So I'm going to cut them in quarters maybe and pare them. Paring means just cutting out the core. All right, and one more. Good. And now we're going to chop. I'm going to maybe just, this is a fairly large apple. I bet I'm only going to use 3/4 of it. I just need 1 cup. So I'm just cutting, some, there we go. They're not tiny pieces. They're not huge, but they're pretty good size, I think. Okay. All right, let's do one more. I think we're gonna need that. Whoopsie. All right, and one more. There we go, there. All right, so I've got the apples. I think I'm gonna need a full cup. I think that'll be about right. All right, so we're gonna let those sit for a minute. Here in this bowl, I have a cup of flour, a cup of brown sugar, and a 1/2 cup of butter that has been softening a little bit. I cut it into pieces like that, so it would be easy to crumble it all together. So I'm working on that. How easy is that? A cup of flour, a cup of sugar, a cube of butter. And one thing I did on this too, and I mentioned it on the recipe, is that I used, I love to use whole wheat flour anytime I can. If there's an excuse to use whole wheat, I use it, and this is a great time to use whole wheat flour. So I put 1/2 cup of whole wheat flour and a 1/2 cup of the all-purpose. Okay, so we've got that. I do want it a little more crumbly. So good. I just love things whose recipes are simple, so you don't have to fuss over them too much, but they end up tasting, better than anything. So you could spend all day making a fancy French pastry, and I don't think it would taste any better than this. So, okay, we've got our crumbles. All right, now we're going to add a 1/2 cup of chopped nuts. You can use any nut you want. I prefer to use either pecans or walnuts. And in this case, we're going to use walnuts. And what I did is I don't know if you know this trick, but I put all the nuts in a Ziploc bag. All right, this is my nut pounding Ziploc bag. And I'm just gonna kind of spread them out a little bit. I'm taking my rolling pin. Whoop, I know it gets a little loud, sorry about that. Okay, and you can just chop them to whatever coarseness or however fine you want them. I think that's gonna work beautifully for our purposes. And I'll just add those to that crumb mixture and give it one more kind of toss. All right, so there's that. Excuse me. All right, I've got a greased 9x9 pan. This is actually an 8x8. Either one works fine. And we are going to measure into this pan 1 1/3 cups of the crumb mixture. Okay, I'm just gonna spread that around. Just try to get it kind of even. I'm gonna press it down a bit with my fingers. All right, not too hard there. We'll let that sit there for a second, and we're going to take the rest of this mixture, the crumb mixture, and we're going to add a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon soda, and 1/4 teaspoon salt. Okay, we're adding that. We are also going to include where did I do this? A smallish egg. I just chose the smallest one I could find in the carton. We're gonna add the egg. Oops. And 1/2 cup of sour cream. Yum. All right. And then I usually, you can get a mixer, but I usually just take a spoon to this. I'm just gonna look at my recipe, make sure I did not forget anything. Cinnamon, soda, salt. Oh yes, I'm glad I checked. It needs also 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. I'm just gonna guess on that one. Close enough. All right. So, it's almost blended. At this point, we're going to add our apples. And once again, we're supposed to add a heaping cup of apples. So I think I'll just throw in everything I chopped earlier. I think that'll be fine. So we've been doing this for maybe, 5 minutes? We're almost done. Isn't that great? All right, so once that's mixed, we're going to return to the pan, and we're just gonna kind of spoon it over the first crumb mixture that we got there. All right. Simple, simple, simple. Okay. Now, we're going to pop this into an oven that's preheating at 350. So normally when if you were using a metal pan, you would bake this at 350. I'm gonna have to get my spatula. Because I'm using glass gets a little hotter than metal, and so I set the oven at 325, just 25 degrees less to sort of compensate for that glass. And here's my last one. Okay. Very good. All right, I'm gonna pop it in the oven and bake it for, 25 minutes or thereabouts. And we will come back in a bit and plate it up, and I'll show you how we finish it off. Here we are with the baked sour cream apple squares. They were in the oven about 25 minutes, and then I just let them cool a bit. And we are ready to plate and enjoy. And I'm gonna cut this, you can cut them to whatever size you want, but I'm just gonna cut maybe, I'll do 9. Since it's a 9x9 pan, I'll just do that. And here we go. All right, so make sure they're cut through. Now, I am going to, these are delicious plain. I just want to make that very clear. But if you want it to look a little bit fancy, what I usually have done is I'll take my take the dessert plate, and I drizzle it with caramel sauce. And this there is a recipe for this caramel sauce in the dessert chapter of my book. If you're interested in looking that up, it's a classical French style dressing. But I'm just gonna maybe do something fun. The kids have a great time drizzling making it pretty. And I'm gonna take out a square. we go. Nice apple. And I'm going to just place that there. And I whipped some cream. I just got some heavy whipping cream, just a little sugar and vanilla. It doesn't need a lot, but a dollop of cream. I suppose it'd be wonderful with ice cream too, but. And there you have it. Isn't that beautiful? I think I'm going to have to take a bite while it's still very warm. Oh, but by the way, this does freeze beautifully. So if you wanted to make it a day or two ahead or just keep it in the fridge or the freezer, that would be perfectly all right.